Rumble, Aphelios for the first time in the ban pool.
Not going to give that one over to Patrick, or maybe just paying your red side bans due respect. So the LPL has been playing for a week now. They're now in Chinese New Year over at the LEC, so kind of checking in on trends. The LPL has been focused a lot more on those ADC bans, whereas the LEC, like you're talking about, has been much more focused on some of these mid-lane bans. But this game, we're throwing it all out, and we're going much more focused on that bot lane. Double support ban with the Thresh and the Rakan across from Dreams.
All right, do not want to give him any comfort whatsoever. But let's talk about what is open and available. The Senna, the Misfortune, some of the champions that we've seen a fair amount. And obviously the jungle pool is still very, very open if anybody wanted to prioritize a pick. But a Braum first pick is a surprise.
Oh, it is a Torre special, however, formerly known as Norse Garen. He's going to be the big Braum player, or one of the big Braum players that we have in the LEC. And I actually really don't mind a priority pick of a Braum. My only thing is that Lucian is open. So the idea is by picking the Braum here, you can either get the MF Braum, or you can get the theoretically the Lucian Braum, and then it also dissuades Forgiven from picking up the MF into the Braum because of how his Unbreakable is so devastating across from her ultimate.
Let's see whether or not that gets secured or not, because it's so far the Ornn and the Jarvan. Once again, it's going to be the Varus this time round. For Patrick himself. You can ignore the graphic on screen for now. The Kiana was banned away. It's currently the Hobra Mord.
So the fact that they had an option to go for a power pick like Lucian that has hit the bench a couple of times this time around, but reach for the Varus tells me that they want more utility. This bot lane is loaded with utility with this Varus and this Braum. And as you can see, the Mordekaiser pickup, not necessarily the most versatile champion in grabbing hold of people. Once he does, though, he's able to smash them up. So I think he works very well in tandem with Varus and Braum, but you're still giving away that firepower that you could have had to kind of shore up the rest of your team comp.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit more Lucian coming into the week.
Yeah, so was I.
At all, and now we'll see where this rest of the comp plays out. I think Schalke are building a pretty big beef wall here. This feels like a protect the ADC type of composition, and when you've got Forgiven, the father of ADCs, why not?
It also just feels like a very heavy team fight oriented composition. The first three picks, the Ornn, the Jarvan, the Nautilus, we have seen these picks over and over again, and it is that big meat wall in front of you. So now my question is for Excel, are you going to pivot? You see that Schalke are starting to assemble a big 5v5 composition. Do you grab something that can scale out into a side lane to try to play a 1-3-1 style? Or do you just kind of like hunker down, also grab for your big 5v5 and say, we'll see you there?
Do the bans signal any intent to you? So far, the Olaf has been taken away, obviously with the Jarvan secured here for Gilius. Now they're going to start hitting the pool that Kadril has to offer. And we've not spoken a huge amount about XL just yet, especially ourselves personally, but Kadril was the star player, the face of the team at the end of summer. And he definitely grew as the year played out. And the man standing behind him, Youngbuck, the 6-star general, I want to see what impact he can have on this organization and this team.
So kind of focusing into the jungle bans, because it's two 80 junglers, Olaf and Lee Sin banned away, and then the Jarvan also taken. Kind of the last big 80 jungler left is Rek'Sai in the meta that we've seen. And with so much magic damage already on the side of Excel, there's almost emphasis that while he could grab something like a Gragas or an Elise, he really does want to find that 80 jungler. So this feels right now that Schalke are almost trying to force Kadril onto something like a Rek'Sai, and I'm curious if he's just going to grab it and say, you know it's coming, I'm going to give it to you anyway, or if he's going to pivot and try to reach for something else.
Okay, let's see what this next round of draft offers us. The Zoe de LeBlanc, as well as the Olaf Lee Sin with the final bans. Long hover on the center before a final swap away. And Yamato Cannon just said himself he'd be surprised to see Forgiven play Cassio. I'm expecting this in the mid lane, of course, but it is an irony that it's locked in by Forgiven.
I also really love the fact that they grabbed the Cassiopeia, because she still works very well in a front-to-back team fight because she offers so much DPS to walk people down. There's a nice Yasuo, you hear the crowd cheering for it, but it also means that she can play out in that side lane as well. So it diversifies Schalke's composition, that they're not just about the 5v5, that if they want to, they have that Cassie that can be on a side lane with a jungler shadowing underneath her and go for those 1v1 duels.
Okay, and the final lock-in is now going to be the Xayah. Okay, so we got the option for those 1v1s as you talked about. There's a lot of teamfight prowess here on the side of Schalke, but let's turn our attention to the enablers to this Yasuo. Mickey grew as the year went on. He's got a couple of knockups in his kit.
And that's like the pivot that I loved. I was like, it feels like Kadril's really going to be forced on the Rek'Sai here, but having that Yasuo in there from Mickey means that it's not as feels bad a moment for Kadril to grab a good jungler like the Gragas, because you just talked about how their synergy works at the level 6. You throw the gas, you get the last breath. It feels really good, and it allows Kadrill, again, to not be pigeonholed onto something.
And I'm a big fan of not being pigeonholed into eating all the damage. The Featherstorm from Xayah is going to help Forgiven out in any of these engages. If he can avoid that key knockup, prevent Mickey jumping onto him, that is going to be crucial. And the question is, how good is the old man's mechanics? It has been 3 years since he has played on this stage at this level. And there's a lot of expectation on his shoulders along with Schalke's.
We had the opportunity to talk to some of the professional players, and word on the street is that Forgiven's champion pool looking a little 2016, but he is definitely trying to update it with this Xayah heading into his first game.
Listen, when we were in 2016, people were saying Forgiven's champion pool looked a little 2014. I distinctly remember that. And we're going to find out who will come out on top as XL Esports are taking on Schalke 04. Who will be able to rise to the top? We have a pause, unfortunately. All that build-up, all that hype, all that anticipation.
But we can talk about our new sponsor.
We can indeed. It's time to have a break, Heather.
I don't know the song.
To Kit Kat, come on.
Oh,
You
okay.
just dropped the ball there.
Very sorry.
Nicely done. We're not doing this on purpose, I promise. I can actually see the players talking to the referees on stage. But it will give us just a little bit more time. Let's zoom out and talk a little bit more. I hate you guys.
It's fine, it's resumed.
Let's talk a little bit more holistically about what we want to expect coming out of the early game. We already talked a little about the Gragas implications, how we can, combine with Mickey. But what else do either XL Schalke want to do?
So, of course, as all early games do, my eyes are entirely on the junglers. The fact that we have Kadrill and Gilius in this game, and also the dramatic changes to the 2020 jungle season. I'm sure you guys have heard this multiple times. Caster's talking about it. You've read the patch notes. The main point for me is that I think with the jungle changes, it is much more important to be decisive in the jungle. Because again, if you fall behind, if you lose that experience lead, you can just get bullied out. And early game is just so impactful for jungles to not fall so far behind. So I think there's going to be a big gap between who is a good jungler and who is a great jungler, and the 2020 jungle season is just going to rip that open. I think it's going to be very obvious who is able to read state of map, who is able to make decisive decisions, and who has the mechanical ceiling to execute on that decisiveness.
I'm really excited to track this throughout the split. We're 3 games in, and we've already got such high anticipation and expectation for these teams and for these players. I'm just taking a look across the map right now. No early shenanigans. A couple of wards there placed by Mickey just as he steps up in towards the chicken camp. And it is pinged out by Schalke, so they're aware of the vision.
Yeah, just trying to get information, but like you said, both teams kind of know where the scouting has gone down, so how it's going to, what's the word I want to use? Not infiltrate.
Play out.
Involve?
Inform.
Inform. Thank you. I knew it was a big word like that. Inform the jungle pathing here from both junglers, and then who's going to find their opening to go for ganks. Because both Gragas and Jarvan have the potential to be early game ganking junglers.
Yeah, absolutely the case. On a personal note, Noscaron, just a reminder, he has renamed for this season to Toure. We actually verified with the player how he likes to say it. Toure it is. I hate that skin. I know Medic and Vedas were talking about it a little earlier today, but it just does not look like it fits on the Rift.
I have one rule. We don't talk about skins.
I accept that. We'll move on. Forgiven and Dreams pushing forward already into Patrick and Toure, and you can see Gilius starting to clear out the bottom half of the map. It's an Infernal Drake up first. And we're just seeing trading across the map, so nothing really to speak of. Where would you expect action to strike first?
It's always going to be about who has priority, who's going to get access to level 2, level 3, kind of these big ganking windows, and then what you're going to do with the priorities that your lanes create. Like, did someone overextend, expose themselves to a gank, or is this just going to be a quiet farm out, which either team would also be, more than happy to do. This aren't either team compositions that are really feeling a lot of pressure to execute anything in particular in the early game. There's opportunities basically every which way you break it. So unfortunately, we're going to be pretty reactionary to what we see going on the map, which is an invade on Raptor Camp.
All right, so Mickey already showing an indication that he wants to step forward. Kadrill right there with him. These two definitely developed a synergy over the course of summer and started to become heavy hitters here in the LEC. While down at the bottom lane, Toure is busy being hammered away His HP down to about 50% as Forgiven and Dreams just continue to shove up. No noticeable CS advantage, and I think if Patrick clears up, he'll actually take a minor lead over Forgiven.
Yeah, but just trying to be as abusive as possible down there on the Xayah and the Nautilus, knowing that you had information that Gilius was on the bottom side of the map, but Kadra was not. Also now spotted across from a ward that just died on the Raptor camp as he moves up to take Gilius' Krug camp, and Gilius in return then wards the blue side Raptors.
Okay, gonna pop that Scryer's Bloom, start to back away, so a little bit of trade of control in terms of where the junglers are spending their time. And this is just such a fun start because we get to have this litmus test of how both of these respective teams are going to perform and inform the shape that they're coming out of the off-season on. Because we've seen a wide variety of plays and games today. It just makes it more entertaining to watch.
I mean, the reality is it's just kind of like who's built up the synergy, how are scrims going, who's rusty, what did you do in the off-season? I don't take a ton of stock or merit, especially kind of in the opening games of the LEC. It's always nice to see exciting games, but like you said, litmus test or just a gut punch. Where is the LEC at right now? It's been, what, 4 months since we last saw him? Yeah,
absolutely the case. As it stands, Kadriel and Gilius, they're going to be trading objectives and fighting over the chickens. Down in the bottom lane, Forgiven picked up the cull, first item back. No one will be surprised to hear that Forgiven wants to farm, likes to farm. Gilius is going to get a good chunk of damage onto Kadriel before he gets caught by the body slam. Support's coming up from Touré, but Dreams is already there, forces the flash from Kadriel, and that's nicely done.
I really do like that Schalke and Gilius in particular are actually just muscling Kadriel out in his jungle. He made use of that ward onto the Raptor camp. He has priority in the bot lane and forces out the flash. And yeah, Kadriel does have access to his Predator boots and can still try to force these ganks, but a Gragas without flash means that now all of his laners really do have to respect that and keep much more information.
Oh my word, is this a solo kill? Flash is available, flash forward. Odo needs to chase down, expect. Solo kill's available, throws out the Rupture. One more auto should do it down, bring the hammer down.
The slowest moving car chase you've ever watched, but in the end, Odo does walk it out there. Very nicely done, as expect, just miscalculated the damage.
Yep, definitely not expecting the damage for Odo to secure.
That's my second rule.
No, okay.
No puns.
I'm not going to be able to follow up with that one. You know, I do freak cosplay from time to time. You should know, you directed the last one.
Okay.
But nevertheless, look, Schalke did a good job there. I mean, correction, Odo did a good job. Securing a kill, just punishing expect, overextending, but neither of them with flashes, so juicy targets for Gilius or Kadriel.
Yeah, and then immediately Odo with his gold grabs the Negatron cloak and it's just like, okay, goodbye. There's no damage here. Like, I am perfect for weak side. I would still have kill pressure. I can now swap into the Ignite because I have the unsealed spellbook. We've seen Ornns take this time and time again. It makes that kill pressure in lane really strong, and it also means that it is still very scary to dive in Ornn. If they have access to the Ignite and they have CC and they land you on the tower, he's like the perfect weak side top laner. And if you want to throw him a bone, give him a gank, usually it pays off.
Yes, absolutely the case. And when you think about the targets that he's going to be aiming for, the Varus, the Maud before the Death Realm is thrown down, fairly easy targets if they get caught by the CC. If they catch any airtime, they'll just be taken out. So Dreams has been his first little roam here. A couple of dashes come up. Very nice wind wall from Mickey, but the exhaust has come out. 1.5 million Twin Fangs thrown out. Abadage with the solo kill, despite the threat from Dreams.
Yeah, hold up. We may have a bit more of a skirmish. Here comes 3 more. The challengers approach.
And they are ineffective, it seems.
Just a walkabout.
2 kills to 1,000 gold up. And when you're late to the party, you don't get to play.
Just giving them eyes, giving them a nice little wave, walking back to their lane, probably through that vision. We'll see if Braum checks it out. But Abba, he gets a lot of shit. Like last year, his isolated deaths, some of the highest that we had in the league. His arch enemy was the enemy tower usually, but it feels really nice just walk in this. Yeah, he had a moral support victory there from Dreams, but that was really just Abba flexing. So good way to start off 2020.
And the thing that's quite interesting or quite fun to see is that both Odoamne and Abadage have just outplayed their opponents. I don't want to discount the fact that Dreams' dredge line obviously pulled out the wind wall. That meant Abadage could land all of those Twin Fangs. But at the end of the day, flexing got themselves a strong CS advantage. Forgiven's already backed. He's down 11 or so CS, but he's got the Cull. He's got those Berserker's Greaves. He still just wants to keep farming himself up.
I do want to put a magnifying glass, though, on watching Dreams and where he picks his moments to roam. That time around, it was when Forgiven was walking back into his lane. But the thing is when you see a name like Forgiven on the map, you're like, he's going to demand that his support stands next to him. They're going to play hyper-aggressive in lane. You just heard Yamato Cannon talking about how they want to contest and challenge it and brute force you out. Dreams was a guy who was really well known for his roaming. It was roaming with Selfmade into Pyrion's lane and causing pressure there. So where is Dreams going to find his moment? Is he going to be on a leash to Forgiven down there, or is he going to be a heavy roam support and try to get involved with his jungler? Well,
so far the roams have been successful. We've still got this nice extended farming phase. The first dragon's going to go down. Infernal will be secured. Just small CS advantages in the top and the mid for Schalke, while Patrick on this Varus, 85 to 72. Gilius will arrive just in time to watch it go down. And there's no further follow-up, despite some sniffing around here. Dreams got himself the ability to chase down. And waiting to see if they engage. That's a flash forward. The dredge line catches onto Touré. He's got exhaust and flash behind. Feathers have come out. There goes the engage from Gillis. He gets the knockup. Defensive flash from Forgiven. Expector's looking for a target, but it's Dreams. That's going to go down. There will be a trade as Gillius manages to pick up Touré. So far, support for support. And the teleport was expended from Expect.
Yeah, so in the end, I'm going to give it a slight advantage to Schalke, even though they didn't get the Drake, simply because they got the TP and nothing else really happened. Kind of a one-for-one trade. If that TP had come out and they got slammed in that team fight and they lost the Drake, then it's a very feels bad, like, Schalke, what were you thinking trying to take that fight? But otherwise, I really like how patiently they played it. It felt like Schalke made the decision, you know what? First few Drakes, also in my opinion, don't really mean anything, as long as you don't lose control of that soul. And you've heard it time and time again from all of the casters, that it's really the Dragon Soul that matters. You can kind of give away those first few Drakes, because the stats don't necessarily mean anything, as long as you fight for the back three, and especially that soul.
And I feel like every single time the soul's been available, we have seen big team fights around it. And we've seen a couple of dramatic fights, in fact, over the course of today, as well as when we're watching leagues around the world.
But kind of to continue on, I like the fact that Schalke were like, we're not going to try to force this fight, but if someone steps out of position, we're going to try to grab the pick. And I think that was their goal there. It just happened to be a one-for-one trade.
This is a really, really fun game because, Frost, I'm going to try to paraphrase something you said to me about Schalke when you're talking about them, with them being sort of like a benchmark type of team. When you look at the experience of the players, the pedigree of the players, the expectation on their abilities, this is a team that if they can brute force their way through individual matchups, they can just pull ahead and start to take control of games, and we're kind of seeing that now.
My prediction is that Schalke are effectively the benchmark. You must be this good to ride the LEC ride, and if you just get kind of bullied around by Schalke's players just because of their raw talent or individual skill, then you're not going to be a top team in the LEC. So you see that XL are keeping even with them, Expect even flashing forward.
He wants some revenge, doesn't manage to get the mace to land. Good damage back from the Bellows Breath, but Expect has got so much HP to play with. 150 to burn through, no flash to chase, and Odo's able to walk away with his life.
Yeah, saving his flash as well, but that's still XL now getting the Infernal, now into the Rift Herald. You can see that Kadril has slipped in underneath here, really wants to use this top and continue to funnel golden resources onto Patrick here.
And I'm just trying to see where the rest of the map is for now. Dreams currently not by Forgiven's side, making his way to the top lane.
Forgiven can smell it. He doesn't have flash. His ultimate is just about to come up, so very good map awareness to not step forward. Now bot.
All right, the Orn Horn has been summoned. That's the flash. Will not find the knockup just yet. Gilius throws down the Cataclysm, and Odo Omne picks up his second of the game. 2-0. Nearly a 20 CS advantage, and that extends the gold lead to 1,500 in favor of Schalke.
So where Forgiven could sniff that the gank was coming, unfortunately Expect gets the memo just a little bit too late there as the 2v1 crashes.
And all kudos here to Schalke. All eyes on Forgiven. All talk about Forgiven. Everything and stories and hype. And it's Odo and Abadaga that are stepping up and being like, yo, guys, we're here, we're good.
Because that's the thing to remember about this roster with Schalke, is that it actually just isn't the Forgiven show. Odo had a phenomenal end to his 2019, and he seems to have picked it up, especially on a pick like Ornn, where you're like, ah, yeah, you'll blow the horn, you'll have the ultimate, that's nice, but you're not going to find anything else, and he's found 2 kills.
Well, let's talk about XL and what they need to find to claw their way back into this game. Expect did almost win that 1v1. Kadriel and Mickey, they continue to power up nearly level 11 on Mickey, so that's going to be a big power spike for him on the Yasuo.
And I think it's really important that they're continuing, again, to funnel gold into Patrick, because Varus is that 2-item power spike champ, and by giving him access to a lot of these plates, you're trying to springboard him there, whereas Xayah is still waiting for the 3 items to really be competitive. So it feels like XL have a very clear game plan with their composition, where the windows that it's strong, and they're trying to get there as fast as possible with that Rift Herald place.
Yeah, and you have to give all kudos. They got the first Dragon, they got the first Herald. They are millimeters of HP away from getting the first tower. So that gold lead is, relatively speaking, insignificant. As long as they can keep their primary carry, who's the most farmed in Patrick's Varus, alive and well. Because there are some pretty hefty advantages from the mid and the top lane from Schalke's side.
Hold on, though. We're starting to have some of that muscle force come in. Nope, Schalke have pulled off for the blue buff. Thought for certain, or for a second there, that Gilius and Abadage were going to take a little bit of a walkabout down bot.
Not this time round. Waiting to see where the next big play is. I mean, we're 14 minutes in. Tower has not yet fallen, but very, very close to it. And if this Mountain Drake goes down not too soon from now, 50% odds on whether we're going to get ourselves a Cloud or the Ocean Drake on the Rift, rather.
This is a really nice window for Schalke to approach and to grab the mountain. I have a feeling that if XL were actually in position, that Schalke, like the Infernal, would just kind of say goodbye to that one. It's not worth fighting over. We're not necessarily in a power point to do so. But because XL didn't have the back timers, weren't on the map for the play, just good read. Schalke like, let's go.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. We saw the animation there from the observers. Cloud Rift, what do you think about it? Do you like it? We've had a lot of discussion about the Cloud Rift in general.
I think there's a lot of champions that really benefit from Cloud. Obviously, a champion like Nautilus is going to be the first that comes to mind, not only having kind of lower CDR on things like the ultimate. I'll hold the point.
Well, we'll find out. Dreams is able to stay alive for now, but the rest of Schalke are making their way in. Odoamne, he finishes a teleport. There goes the Call of the Forge. Got flashes from Patrick and Toure for 1 TP, I call worth.
Yeah, there's that Braum specialist that you were hoping to see, and I just want to echo what we heard on the analyst desk, because I agree with it. I think Patrick and Toure are so hungry to prove themselves.
Now they need to prove they can defend this tower or not concede more. Look at the minimap. Expect and Mickey are pushing mid and top. Schalke, however, they want to secure tower first blood, and I think they will just about get it. The first kill of the game, first tower of the game as well.
Yeah, and it feels like a big win for XL there. Yeah, they're fine to trade that tower, but like you said, it's the fact that so much damage is going up in both top and mid lane. While you have a Gragas ultimate, XL know that Schalke wouldn't be able to force the re-engagement, but Kadriel can.
Running, running, running! That was a very good Feather Storm, forgiven. Exactly the reason you pick the Xayah into this team comp, but it's not done yet. Dreams, flashes, gets the ultimate. Chain of Corruption goes between the uprights. Schalke do not concede anything, and now XL are trying to force the play. Expect TP'd in. They should be able to get the tower.
Yeah, that's the thing. XL still have a position on the wave, however, so yeah, the ultimate from Varus splits the wickets, but kind of damage done. They trade 1 for 1. You still got so much damage done on the mid tower, push it all the way down. In the last 2 minutes, XL still win out on that.
Absolutely the case, and the fact that top tower can go down so quickly. This is such a close game. That gold lead, irrelevant. And now the first big ticket items are pretty much completed across the board. Proto Belt, Static Shiv, Blade of the Ruined King. Looking on the side of XL, and I'm very excited to see how these team fights are going to play out, because they can be very drawn out, but they can also just insta-give people. If Abadage can find a Petrifying Gaze, there are plenty of squishy targets that he can melt through.
I mean, in 2019, there wasn't a lot of tanks to be seen. In 2020, the tank supports have come back. Ornn's a big pickup into that top lane, and so team fights are getting a lot slower than they used to be. We were used to seeing all these assassins immediately come in and kind of blow someone up when you're on setup. Now, your vision game has to be that much better. Your denial game on top of it to create these pockets, because team fights will be drawn out, and then you have to see patience when you're using the cooldowns at the correct time, and that's what I want to see. G2 showed it off beautifully. They were so patient in their team fights, and the rest of the LEC have to follow suit in this meta.
XL right now, patient around the Rift Herald for us, Guren. 6,000 HP, grouping is coming at Patrick. Remember, no flash. Chain of Corruption's on cooldown, and XL are going to decide to back away. Not going to commit to this fight. Toure will hop over the wall and land himself a Winter's Bite. Throw down the fissure. I didn't see that dredge line. I think it connected with a wall.
Give it a slap.
In fact, Dreams is taking a lot of damage. He turns and burns. And Patrick is able to run for now. Forgiven is caught up. Got flash available to him. The barrel sends him forward. He's down. He could not flash. He was locked into place. Now Dreams throws out the ultimate. He gets a knockup. Odo and Abadage, they arrive. That's a massive knockup. And with all the twin fangs, it's a triple for Abadage.
And it looks so good for a split second for Excel, but the cavalry arrived. It was the fact that Schalke made the rotation, but Mickey and Expect were locked out of the fight into the mid lane. So now Schalke, they pick up all the kills. They have the Rift Herald, and they're going to get some nice chip damage on this structure.
4-0, and Abadage's Cassiopeia. Odo Wamne 2-0-3 on that Ornn. Expect is kind of sniffing around. If he and Mickey can find something with that Realm of Death, Lost Breath maybe, but not going to be able to right now. And instead, again, Schalke, they still remain in control, despite taking a few heavy blows from Excel.
But we do need to check on these reset timers, because Abadage is feeling himself.
Oh, he absolutely is. The exhaust comes down from Abadage. Here comes Expect, the two-man petrifying gaze. Abadage, you are a monster. The shield comes up, keeps throwing out the miasma on the Twin Fangs, but in a 2-on-1, he finally goes down.
Yes, he was certainly feeling himself, and he styles, again, a very nice performance on this Cassiopeia, now 5-1. I was talking about the back timers because Cloud Dragon is up in 15 seconds, and I was curious who was going to try to get into position for it. Schalke did actually have the initial reset potential, but they actually walked Forgiven top. They are consciously saying, this Cloud is not important to us. We are willing to trade it for something else.
Oh, this is such a fun game to watch, and no pressure here from Schalke. Excel will be able to secure the second Dragon of the game, but at what cost? Top lane wave is being pushed in heavily. Schalke are trying to push their vision line deep into enemy territory. Gonna have a lot of information to work with. And you know, we talked about that top lane tower that Expect was pushing 5 or so minutes ago. Still standing, still alive. So gotta give some credit to Schalke for defending it. And now all of a sudden, Excel, they've got to look for some more opportunities.
I mean, or you could take the LS approach, and by that tower still being up there, the fact that Excel are pushing minion waves into it. I don't think it's necessarily one of those situations, though, because it's been Cassia that's been eating up. But it is something to always track when towers do sit up there,
yes.
How much farm they are kind of denying as they're left to their own devices.
And it's still small differences. 10 separating the mid laners, 10 separating the top laners. It's only Patrick that's maintained that plus 20. And with the second Herald going the way of Schalke, they're going to get that charged up, boop, onto the middle tower. That will secure it. Frost, the observers really like your point. They're actually showing you the turrets killing the minions.
And I can't take credit for this. Ellis talks a lot about this on his stream as well as the LCK cast, so shout out up there. And it's when you have these towers up and you push these waves into them, these minions now are being picked up by Abadage, but whenever they hit that tower, they're actually just going nowhere.
Yep.
And so you just have to think up over time how much gold isn't going into your pockets, even though it feels like, okay, towers are down, that means I have more control over the map. But in situations like that, gotta do the math.
Yeah, exactly. And it's where do you prioritize your time? Where do you put your resources? And talking about resources, Patrick just picked himself up that Rage Blade. And we're getting close to the Infinity Edge for Mickey as well, so you have to feel once that's picked up, that's a big, gigantic go button to fight.
Yeah, and so now we're going to kind of talk about like pockets in which teams feel stronger because of itemization. We talk about this all the time, but it kind of funnels into the Dragon conversation as we get kind of closer and closer to that closing window of you must now fight for this Drake. And I feel like kind of an easy mode for at least the initial stages of this meta is have a late game insurance policy and know that when you have to fight for the soul, when you have to fight for that necessary Dragon, that as long as you have late game scaling champions like a Xayah, like a Cassiopeia, it doesn't matter what happens in the early game as long as you just neutralize everything and it doesn't snowball wildly out of control. And it feels like, yeah, Abba's gotten some kills, but that was kind of like Schalke's mentality here because they have a Cassiopeia, they have a Xayah. Eventually, they are going to turn their eyes to these Dragons and stop giving them away to Schalke, or excuse me, to Excel, and they're going to feel so strong when they do it.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And slightly abstract question while we were setting up for the next fight, but do you think either of these teams will benefit more from the Cloud Soul? I'll give you a moment to ponder
Nautilus.
it, because it is going
Cassiopeia
to look like an engage, and I will explain what that is in a moment. Now, let's quickly look at this. Kadril is waiting in the wings. Patrick is nearby, and Mickey can make it if a fight were to break out, as both teams are posturing. They're just setting themselves up, waiting for someone to misstep.
We're really fighting over mid lane priority, and like you're saying, everyone's just kind of playing defense and seeing what's going to happen, sniffing out if someone is going to misposition or to make a mistake, but no one is feeling confident enough to really bite down on this Baron. This is a tug of war between that mid lane and that vision line.
And the eventual price that people are looking towards is going to be this Cloud Soul. So definitively better on the side of Schalke, passively gaining 10% movement speed. And after you cast your ultimate.
Definitively better.
That's what you said. That's what I heard. There's
a lot of champions. I really like the utility of Cloud Soul. There's a lot of champions in this game that make use of Cloud. I think, in my personal opinion, the best one is Nautilus. Nautilus used to be once he got access.
So definitively. I'm putting words in her mouth. Of course not.
Yeah, quote me.
But now, like, in context of this game, you know, the obvious reasons here, Nautilus being able to chase and lock down with the CC. Chain of Corruption was committed there. That could prove painful if Schalke can find another engage.
They didn't find a kill.
Yeah, I know, but if they get jumped on, they're in trouble.
We're making eyes. So the reason why I bring up Nautilus is because this time around he's got the Ninja Tabi. Oh no, I'll hold it. Okay, he's good. He's got the Ninja Tabi, but it used to be that when Nautilus had Moby Boots, he didn't actually have to do anything. He didn't have to ult you, but it was the threat of having the movement speed of running at you with the ult that created so much zone and so much pressure. And so obviously on a Cloud map with Cloud Drake, it's going to kind of be the same thing. So we'll see how Dreams is able to kind of exert that pressure, even if he doesn't pull the trigger on the ult.
Yeah, it's like those whack-a-mole games. The threat of being
Okay,
hit.
get excited, Trevor, because it's warded.
All right, look at the mini-map. Great vision here. Schalke fully aware. XL are making the way in. Teleport coming down from Expect. He's going to be low for the fight. Abadage is not going to be able to find the stun just yet. Now Baron is hammering away Forgiven. He flashes up the wall. Cagel's gone low. The first to fall is Abadage. He's the most fed member of Schalke. It's at the cost of Cagel, though. So far, it's a 1-for-1. The feathers bring all the damage back into XL. And Forgiven buys time with a stopwatch. They continue to trade kills. 1-for-1. 3 down aside. Make that 4 for Schalke. Expect is now going to try and run down Dreams. He does not have that Cloud Soul to run away with, but he's able to escape with the dredge line. 4 for 3. No, 4 for 4 at the end of the fight.
It was so close. Only 2 survivors from this great Baron play, and there was a lot of outplay. So let's talk about first and foremost the decision for Schalke to do this. They have the Cassiopeia, they have the Xayah. They feel like if you leave it alone for a second, we can burn it. But Excel do show up just in the nick of time, and then it's outplay after outplay, especially for Forgiven on the back half of this fight, to get the flash out of Patrick into a stopwatch.
And Patrick turned away from the petrifying gaze.
Yes.
Following Cassiopeia flying at him, he turns, he avoids the stun, and just turns it around. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the first few minutes of this game, I felt like Schalke were making some great punches, but at no point has Axel been out of this game. They got the first Dragon. They got the first Herald. They're tied for towers. The gold lead is irrelevant, and you can see when the team fights happen, these are so fun to watch.
And with so many key summoners and ultimates down right now, and again, we talked about kind of those pockets, those windows of power, you can see in the itemization. Varus has 3, you've got 2.5 on Xayah. So obviously in this current pocket, Exceller, again, we're gonna come in, we're gonna take the Dragon, and that means onto a Baron. The Dragon fight is coming. You only have so much more time to ramp gold onto Forgiven and get him into a place where he's ready to fight.
And one of the things I'm going to have a lot of fun with, once we get some time to review these games in VODs, start looking at the decision-making and the tendencies of this XL squad. We know they've got a deep 10-man roster. We know Youngbuck was brought in. The organization made changes. We know they won the Neo Surf Cup. But what I'm interested to see is, can we see the flair of Youngbuck on how teams play and how they treat different aspects of the game? I haven't had the chance to quite digest it yet, but it's something we'll have a whole split to look at and talk about.
Before we look at Youngbuck, I also do want to point towards Dylan Falco, because I see Abadage right now on this Cassiopeia. He's a big deal. He's very powerful right now, and there's not once that Abadage has really looked towards that side lane. We talked about it in Champion Select that a lot of other LEC teams would use Cassiopeia in that capacity because she is such a good duelist, especially if you can have Helios on Jarvan kind of shadow underneath her. But Schalke last year, and it seems also this year, have this tendency where they just always want to group up, which, don't get me wrong, their comp is also strong there in a straight 5v5, and maybe if you have Forgiven on Xayah, you're like, it doesn't matter, I don't need to play a side lane, I just need to stand next to this guy. But it's things to keep track of like that. The fact that Schalke still haven't really diversified their playstyle, they don't feel super comfortable playing out into those side lanes, and it continues to hold true.
It does indeed. Multi-man stack, all 10 players around the mid lane. Schalke are positioning themselves for, feels like another Baron fight. Just a quick reminder that thanks to Ornn, the Fireforge Cave, the Infernal Mask upgraded in Ornn's inventory. Zhonya's Paradox in Abbedagge's, as well as that Molten Edge sitting with Forgiven. So
he's just making it rain.
It is.
Money.
I mean, he absolutely is. Level 15 in the moment, about to hit level 16, continuing to scale up. And we're now hitting what is, modern day terms, the late game. 3 full items pretty much across the board. There's that Rapid Fire Cannon and Essence Reaver for Forgiven. So it's a lot of power in the hands. And I want to see if a team can get a conclusive, definitive team fight win, rather.
We're coming to the climax of the game. It's going to come down to probably the next 1 to 2 fights. I would say probably the next 1 fight, depending on how it goes, because that's going to transition to a massive objective, be it that Drake or be it that Baron.
So do you know what XL has nothing of, Frostgurin? Flashes, not a single one in their inventory. There is an engage already. Call of the Forge God comes up. Patrick is able to sidestep everything. He stays alive for so long. Torre's unbreakable wall blocks so much damage. There's the damage. The re-engage. Here comes Expect. He throws down the Realm of Death. He picks up a kill onto Dreams. Petrifying Gaze doesn't really find anybody. It does, just to the back end, but not enough. Mickey manages to get knocked up in the air. He's running for his life. Manages to continue hammering away. There's 1 for 2 at the time being. It is XL in control, but that was so close.
But look at Gilius trying to get back as quickly as possible so he can try to dissuade XL from turning on the Baron. And it looks like it's worked. The fact that Schalke's jungler got out of that skirmish means the game will continue to kind of sit on the seesaw. But this was Schalke walking into the meat grinder. Patrick just tore them apart.
And Torre, that Unbreakable blocks so much upfront damage. And Patrick, thanks to the Hurricane, you can see almost solo kills Dreams and Gillian.
Yeah, and so important that the Varus ultimate locked in the background Abbedagge and Forgiven from actually pushing through in that narrow corridor, delaying Xayah and Cassiopeia's damage output through the fight. Like you said, the Petrifying Gaze doesn't really find the targets that it needs, and the damage had been done. Expect got behind them, blew up the back line of Schalke, and forces them on the retreat.
And of course, thanks to Gilius recalling, he has been able to get back into the Baron pit area. 5,000 HP, 4,000. This is going down. Gilius, can he get inside the pit? He does! He steals it! Gilius steals away the Baron! He gives up his life, but he gets what he came for. The fight isn't done yet. Glacial Prison goes down rather Fisher. Now all of a sudden, Chain of Corruption slowly starts to spread. Cadril does not have the ultimate available. Abbedagge's Petrifying Gaze is not cooled out as Expect goes golden. We turn attention to Dreams. With the help of Forgiven, he gets a kill. Now they're looking for Expect. Look at the backside as Cadril's trying to re-engage. Forgiven, less than 50% HP. It's a 4v4, but that's a knock up into the air. They've caught Cadril. Bella's breath is burning down. 300 HP as Odo is not going to pick up the kill. It's Forgiven that brings it home. Schalke with Baron and the fight.
Remember the name. This team is not just Forgiven. It is not just Odoamne. It is not just a, 5-3 Cassiopeia. Gilius comes up huge into the pit, finds the steal. They get the team fight, and it's Schalke knocking on the front door.
This is beautiful play. 15 kills.
I wouldn't go that far.
11. The fun. It is fun. It is enjoyable, and it's going to be another Cloud Drake secured by Abbedagge. We can ignore the question, what is a side lane for now, right? Because there's been a lot of mid-lane for the last few minutes. But this is that Baron. But it goes back Frost.
This is like a Mr. Fantastic move. Like, look at the stretch arm on that to get in the pit.
Unbelievable. But it goes back to what you were saying. If Gilius didn't, get back and recall when he did, 1 second would have been the difference from being unable to secure the steal.
It's also both teams willing to be decisive on imperfect information. The fact that you had Schalke and then Excel kind of back-to-back saying, no, we're going to try to force and burn this Baron down.
They absolutely did. Taking a look at how the rest of this team fight plays out, Cadril was really just looking for an opportunity to re-engage. Managed to do so, and that volcanic rupture just catching him out.
Yeah, super great heads up from Odoamne and Dreams to, again, be that defensive lineman, the Bash Brothers, if you will, around little Xayah there.
It's very exciting when you think about a team. If a team is able to play these like team fight comps, and you've got players like Abbedagge or Forgiven who you expect to perform at a specific level, I want to see how they grow, of course. And for the time being, they now have a huge advantage. Got that Baron buff, got themselves a 4,000 gold lead. And some split chance here in Berlin, actually. I think I'm hearing both teams' names. Neither one particularly out chanting the other. Abadage is going to take the 5th tower of the game for Schalke in the top lane. And now they've just split their resources. They're ushering in the conga line of minions, trying to use the last 20 seconds of this Baron buy.
Schalke did a good job, though, syncing and timing both the waves. However, the fact that you have 2 crashing waves at the same time, so getting really nice chip damage, especially on that mid tower.
Okay, key flashes. Expect Cadril and Mickey is down.
But the ultimate for Forgiven is up, despite him missing his flash. So your eyes are really going to be on Cadril. Like, can he make or break with this barrel? And can Patrick follow it up with a nice Chains of Corruption?
And notice who is stepping further forward. Abadage with a flash stayed at the tower longer than Forgiven, who was flashless. So they managed to push the waves in. They still have an inner turret in the bottom lane to secure. That's Schalke's perspective. And the Baron has timed out. So 2.5 minutes until that one. 5 seconds after that, the Cloud Drake is up.
They're baiting with Abadage. They're like, look at this. He's so delicious.
And Cadril just body slams away. I think he almost got caught there. I was ramping up the scream, but it didn't happen.
But yeah, like you said, the Baron has teetered out. Schalke need to take care of that bottom wave. The Cloud Drake will be spawning in about 2 minutes, but we're past that point. Everyone's got kind of their core itemization. It's going to come down to execution on these fights and these skirmishes.
And for the time being, we've seen a mixed bag. It's been a fun one. After 33
Everyone's
minutes
had
of
their
gameplay,
moment in the spotlight.
I love it. I love it. After 33 minutes of gameplay, Frost, you had a pre-split sort of power ranking, if you will. How would you rate the team's performance 30 minutes in from what we've seen versus what you were expecting, you know, of these players and of these organizations?
I think people are, underrepresenting Excel. I think it's kind of the
That's
easiest
fair.
place to start there, because I feel like everyone's talking about, you know, the Origins, the Fanatics, the G2s. No one's really talking about Excel, Misfits that kind of fly underneath the radar. People saw the Neo Surf Cup, and I think they just assumed, these are 2 bottom of the table teams, and you're basically watching like low quality League of Legends. And I don't think that's true.
Yes,
I think
I
it's super easy to say that Excel just kind of made upgrades across the roster. I really like the addition of Patrick and Torre. And then on the other side of Schalke, I don't need to drum up the hype for Schalke.
Yes,
They do it all on their own.
I want to go back to the Excel point very quickly, though, because I really like the sentiment that you said, that there's upgrades pretty much across the board, you know, in terms of players they have picked up in support staff. They've picked up. The question that I do not have an answer to yet is how much better, right? And that's what we're going to see over time. This game is by no means over. A key ultimate from Mickey, who has 3.5 items for now. Give Patrick enough time with 4 items, and he'll be able to burn through even Oda Wamne's Ornn. You know, there's still possibility, but their margin for error is so much smaller.
Yeah, like, I agree with you. I think it comes down to execution. Both these team comps have still windows for victory. I'll hold it, though, as Gilius has gone very deep on Patrick.
He held the flash for so long, Frostgurn, and Gilius is now below 100 HP. The fissure goes up, that's not up! Abadage stays alive a few seconds longer. He uses the hourglass, managed to stay alive. Now expect he does the same. Oda Wamne's on the front line, 3,500 HP. Forgiven, playing frontline ADC. He side flashes, continues throwing out the feathers, throwing out the altars, feather storm to dodge away from the engage from Cadril. He stays alive long enough to keep putting the damage down. Man, the fight's not over yet, as Odo will just about get burned. Remember, the fight started with Patrick getting jumped on, and the fight ends with Patrick getting the kill.
I love tank metas because you get to see so much more. So obviously the first part of that fight, Gilius just like, nah, we're gonna fight now. Just goes to slam dunk on Patrick, immediately regrets his choice. And then the back half, Forgiven just going God-given mode as now the Baron and a TP back in.
This is fantastic.
Gilius is across map, he's not there for this.
No, he's not. Abadage can make it for the follow-up fight. Petrifying Gaze is available. Baron is not being burned down quickly enough. There is some support
They have to fight,
coming.
they don't have a smite.
Gilius is going to make his way in, 3,500. Cadril is the only to go over, throws the barrel, sends Forgiven away. But the Baron is enlisted to help Schalke. Abadage with the Petrifying Gaze. Patrick gets the double. He's not done yet. Turns his attention to Abadage, who's locked inside the realm of death. Piercing arrow comes out. That's a triple. Actually kills secured by Cadril. In fact, crucially, the Baron was interrupted and Gilius is alive. He's done it once!
TP coming back in from...
Call of the Forge God, it is available. Blow the Ornn horn and bring the game to a close. Not yet. Look, Schalke lost the fight, but they prevented the objective going down.
That was such a smart call from Excel, though, to see that the Dragon goes down and that Gilius is across map to immediately turn on the Baron, and it almost pays out for them. Expect with the flash to grab hold of Forgiven. Okay, we gotta go all the way back. Now remember, Gilius tries to dunk on Patrick. It's Patrick that then dunks on Gilius. Gilius like, I'm out, man. I don't want anything to do with this. And check out, he expects Hourglass to dodge this Cassiopeia ultimate. Oh, haha.
Hundreds of thousands of viewers making that sound effect right now. But all credit.
Wait, I think he might have ulted. I can never tell with the spectator.
He manages to also like side flash and then feather storm the follow-up engage from I think it was a Cadril there. Just fantastic individual play in what was an extremely exciting fight.
I feel like I can never see the Mordekaiser green enough. Hold up.
This was the replay of the follow-up fight as Schalke were able to dissuade the Baron. The mini-map.
Oh, see, I thought I was already. I was back in. I was like, okay.
I got you, Frosco, because the teams are poising to fight.
Yeah, the flash from Expect there to grab hold of Forgiven in front of the Baron fight. If Forgiven survives there, that might be the Baron for Schalke, so
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
knife's edge.
There are so many plays that you can break down this game. Keep your eyes on the items. You know, Abadage, 5 items completed for now. A 5th secured for Patrick. 68k, 65k, 17 kills, 15. Oh, the tension is building. The engage comes out somewhat.
Watch
Cadril come down. Realm of Death throws down. Odo and Expect, they're locked inside.
But watch Cadril. What's he going to do with the ultimate, and how much damage will Mickey do on the follow-up? That's the big thing.
Okay, not going to find it just yet. I'm looking for the explosive card. There goes out the ultimate from Dreams. The knockout Gilius manages to put down the Cataclysm. It's a trade, 1-for-1. Jungle for top pitch, fine gaze. Locks down Torre. Unbreakable wall, still standing, still alive. It saved Excel. Torre's unbreakable wall blocks all the damage, and Patrick puts the nails in the coffin.
And it is the bot lane from Excel that popped off. Cadril's ultimate came out, and Mickey wasn't even near it. There was no follow-up, and I thought for sure Excel were done. But Patrick and Torre plant their feet and finish off that team fight.
30-second death timers as the base is now being pushed after being down the entirety of the game. Excel stand up and say, we will not go down without a fight. The world was yelling, God Given is back, and Excel said, hello, this is Patrick. Excel take down Schalke.
That might be your best call.
Oh, man.
That was fun.